Certainly. I'm Tim Prentki. I work at the University of Winchester in southern England, where I'm a Professor of Theatre for Development. For many years I was running a master's programme in Theatre and Media for Development, which I've recently handed over to a colleague, and so now I am concentrating increasingly on knowledge exchange of working in workshop and short course contexts in different places around the world. Community arts has reached a very exciting moment in its evolution, in the sense that it's now wanting to assert its legitimacy, to develop its territory in a way that was perhaps in earlier times largely impossible. I'm generalizing, but I think generally, certainly as far as Europe goes, the community arts began as a very specific, and in many people's eyes as a sort of subgenre within the arts more generally, and were the sort of poor neighbour of mainstream arts. But now community arts have achieved sufficient confidence, a sufficient sense of who they are and what they do, that they've moved to a place where they're starting to claim an aesthetic, to claim an art form, so that it's certainly not a sort of a pallid imitation of mainstream art that happens to be done in particular communities or with members of communities, but is now a set of forms, a set of practices that undoubtedly has its own aesthetic, and the art values of it are every bit as high as the so-called mainstream arts. I'm not saying they're necessarily the same, far from it, because contexts produce contextual aesthetics is really how I would, in a sense, describe what's going on now in community arts. But certainly that engagement with the whole process and notion of aesthetics is, I think, particularly exciting at the moment in the community arts field. From you, Eugene, I'm beginning to get a sense that there is perhaps quite an interesting crisis, specifically in the Netherlands, around legitimacy for community arts. And this might be a very exciting moment to explore the penetration of community arts into mainstream arts and vice versa. And I don't know what I'm getting into, but I hope I'm getting into something around those notions.
Yes, you will. Yeah.